So I thought I would say some things about these security guarantees that Ukraine is demanding. And there's a lot of things to talk about this. It seems to me that a lot of the people, they don't understand some of the things they're saying. Like they're saying security, NATO-like security guarantees, and what they don't understand is if you commit to NATO-like security guarantees, then you're essentially forcing yourself into a position where you're obliged to go to war with Russia for Ukraine in the future, if that was to happen. That's one thing I don't think a lot of these Westerners. I think the Americans seem to understand this, but the Europeans don't seem to understand this. The result of that, and also they don't understand that if you sign that, you will have to actually live by it too. Or your people will be like, hey, you said you're gonna help Ukraine if they got into another war, but here you are, you're not doing nothing. And thirdly, by giving these guarantees, you're actually giving the Ukrainians an incentive to attack or to try to reclaim territory, because the Ukrainians will be like, okay, if we let's say the deal is made, and then a year or so goes by, and then Ukrainians rebuild their army, and they'll be like, maybe we should try to take back this territory or that territory, and then they start a war, and then they can, spin it somehow to make it seem like the Russians were the ones that started it. I mean, that's very easy to do, because just make some false flag operation or something, and then you'll be like, hey, Europe, you said you're gonna help us where the Russians are at war with us. Where are you? And and that's how very easily it can spin out of control. Nobody in this equation has any faith that this peace deal is gonna be a lasting one. So if you have no faith it's gonna be a lasting one, why would you make a deal where you're obliged to become a party to it when it eventually erupts again? I mean, for me that sounds very stupid, and I think Americans seem to understand this. The Europeans don't seem to think this at all. And also another thing is that the Europeans are talking about, when the peace is made, we will put boots on the ground. And yet again they're stupid, because they don't understand that by saying, we're gonna put European boots on the ground, this is just like giving the Russians a massive incentive to not make a peace deal, because the last thing the Russians want is NATO troops in Ukraine. So they would rather keep fighting for another 10 years than to make a peace deal which ends up with European troops in Ukraine. So it's completely counterproductive.